Finally tonight, our Person of the Week. We have been aware of this most unusual man for some time. He has made an extraordinary difference in millions of lives. He's 90 years old this week, though you wouldn't guess it when you see him. And on Monday this week at the State Department, there was a celebration.
Countless millions of men, women, and children who will never know his name will never go to bed hungry.
His name is Norman Borlaug, and it is agreed in many parts of the world that this quiet American may have saved 1 billion lives.
When I see the misery and the hunger and poverty in the third world, I'm angry. This is why I stay at it.
As world population skyrocketed during the 1940s and 1950s, U.S. agronomist Norman Borlaug developed a disease-resistant crossbred wheat variety to address world hunger. Known as the father of the Green Revolution, Borlaug shared his approach for over 5 decades in Mexico, South America, Africa, and Asia. By increasing food production and self-sufficiency, Borlaug successfully expanded humanitarian and scientific frontiers to save over 1 billion lives, for which he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Norman Ernest Borlaug was born on March 25, 1914, in the small town of Cresco, Iowa, on a family farm started by his grandpa, Nels Borlaug, a first-generation American of Norwegian immigrants. Early in life, he had to work on the farm, which taught him the meaning of hard work and instilled his love for agriculture.
His wrestling coach at Cresco High School instilled in him this attitude of never give up, never let them pin your shoulders to the mat. Fight as hard as you can, struggle and struggle and struggle. So his favorite song is called the Iowa Corn Song, but this is a very important part of Dr. Borlaug about the song. People were divided and very wary of others of different religion, different ethnicities. They spoke different languages at home, immigrants. But so these kids were all kind of wary of each other. But every morning, the school teacher had them all stand up and sing about the one thing they had in common, being from Iowa.
After high school, when increased mechanization in farming allowed Borlaug's family to manage without his labor, and when the start of the Great Depression left his family with little money, Borlaug was lured by the promise of a wrestling scholarship to the University of Minnesota. There he studied forestry and met his wife, Margaret. After graduation, he settled into a job working for the U.S. Forestry Service. However, Borlaug's mission in life quickly changed early in his career after attending a lecture by Professor Alvin Stackman, where he learned that wheat rust was killing crops in Mexico and Asian countries, which resulted in widespread food insecurity. Intrigued by the experience and motivated to make a difference, Borlaug returned to the University of Minnesota to study plant pathology.
And his goal was to develop this new wheat strain, a new wheat variety, new seeds that, when planted, could produce, much larger, double, triple, quadruple the yield on each plant and make them resistant to disease.
Immediately following his graduation, Borlaug was hired by the Rockefeller Foundation and sent to Mexico in collaboration with their government to create a stem rust-resistant wheat variety. Once settled in Chapingo, Mexico, just outside of Mexico City, Borlaug and his team began testing wheat seeds used by the locals. They planted over 110,000 seeds and monitored them to see which ones displayed resistance to wheat rust. When harvest time came, they discovered only 4 seed types survived the scourges of rust. Borlaug took these seeds north to Sonora, where they could grow crops out of season when plants in Chapingo couldn't, due to lower altitude. He called this shuttle breeding. This was very beneficial because he could get more results per year. After harvest in Sonora, Borlaug took the seeds that survived back down to Japingo and planted those seeds again. After 4 years of shuttle breeding, Borlaug's wheat crops had a much higher survival rate, to the point at which stem rust was almost non-existent. However, because there was so much wheat at the top, the wheat would fall over, ruining the crop. Borlaug's solution to this was to crossbreed his stem rust-resistant wheat and a Japanese dwarf wheat to make the stems stronger. It was easier said than done, and took Borlaug 7 years and over 8,100 crosses to achieve a durable and extraordinary, high-yielding, strong-stemmed wheat variety. After he developed this variety, he shared it in countries throughout the world, such as Turkey, Indonesia, Afghanistan, Tunisia, Pakistan, India, Brazil, and many more Asian, South American, and African countries. Borlaug himself traveled overseas to these distant locations where he taught farmers the methods for watering, fertilizing, and harvesting their wheat crops. Because most of the farmers were poor, their country's governments put up irrigation systems and paid for the fertilizer. With all of this new information, countries went from importing millions of billions of bushels of wheat to becoming self-sufficient in wheat production in a year and a half's time. In the spring of 1968, Borlaug heard that India's farmers' silos were overflowing with wheat. After that harvest, India broke its all-time harvest record by 150%. Scientists all over the world were inspired by his work, so they created high-yielding rice, corn, and other commodity variants. Then one day, Margaret got a call, saying that Norman had won the Nobel Peace Prize. "This must be a mistake," Borlaug commented, even as reporters were showing up in the field. Finally believing it was true, he went on 2 news conferences. At the ceremony, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize and had a bunch of good things said about him. "We did not award the Peace Prize to the scientist, Dr. Borlaug," said Elise Lyonnaise. "We awarded it to Dr. Borlaug, of whom the scientist is just one well-integrated part." Additionally, Dr. Borlaug won numerous other awards, including the National Medal of Science, a Congressional Gold Medal, and as well had a statue unveiled at the U.S. Capitol in his honor. Even though Norman Borlaug achieved so much, he was still upset because he knew he only bought the world about 20 or 30 more years on Earth and would never win the ever-going war against hunger. "Lurking in the edges of my consciousness, I can see a point at which an over-burgeoning humanity becomes too much for Mother Earth to bear," Borlaug proclaimed. According to Borlaug, we need to keep making agricultural advancements, like his advancement, to feed the ever-growing population. Today, the population is growing rapidly, just hitting 8 billion in late 2022. And even though Dr. Norman Borlaug died in late 2009, the world still leverages his research methods to feed the burgeoning population.
Perhaps the greatest challenge that human beings have ever had is this. Can we, as a species, can we, the human race, can we sustainably produce enough nutritious food to feed all those people, to feed that 9.5 to 10 billion people, while at the same time dealing with the challenges of climate change or climate volatility, and while dealing with and preventing pandemic animal diseases and plant diseases, as well as human diseases.
Furthermore, Dr. Borlaug's legacy lives on through the World Food Prize Organization that he started to honor and support other scientists whose innovations are changing the face of agriculture worldwide in their efforts to eliminate food insecurity. From a tiny town in northeast Iowa to the far reaches of the globe, where he freely shared his ideas for the betterment of humankind, Dr. Norman Borlaug's humanitarian spirit continues to positively impact the world in which we live in today.